What is up, guys? Welcome back to Kingpin Garage. We are here with Red Ed's 1973 Survivor Chopper. This is running, riding, and ready. We are going to Mecum auction. This thing is gonna roll across the block on May 1st. So everyone tune in. It's gonna be on Mecum. It's gonna be on TV. We're gonna see Red Ed's Chopper live from Vegas. We are gonna sell this thing. The next video, you will probably see us driving to Vegas, taking this thing in the trailer with all the Harley signs and all the other stuff we're bringing to Mecum. But right now, what I want to do is bring us all the way back to the beginning of why we actually did Red Ed's Chopper. This thing is a Survivor Chopper, barn find, 1973 Shovelhead rigid frame that Ed, poor Ed, passed away. I knew his daughters. His daughter said to me, I want you to have Ed's bike. I want you to do it the way my dad had it. So if we go back to all the videos and thing where everyone was leaving all these great comments, which by the way, we love all the comments, we love all the subscribers, but we had to stay true to what Ed wanted. Not what we wanted, not what some guy in Ohio wanted, not what some guy in Finland wanted. We wanted to do what Ed wanted. So that's why we had to keep this thing as original as possible, because remember, it's only original one time, okay? Not the way we want it, the way Ed had it. So here we go, we're gonna start from the front end, okay? Ed had these crazy narrow little forks, and if you remember, some reason he thought that sponges with electrical tape would be great fork stops. Well, we fixed all that in one of the videos. We went in and put the internal fork stop, which we did there. We went up to Vince's place of Vince's Cycles, the best guy in the Bay Area, the best guy in the country at restoring bikes, absolutely. I had him help me rebuild these forks. We rebuilt the forks, we polished up the wheels, we got all that going. If you remember one of the videos, we started it up and it smoked like crazy and everyone said, oh, your rings are shot, you guys suck, okay? You don't even have manuals, you're a bunch of kids playing with bikes. Why don't you go to a real mechanic? Well, no, we just hung in there, okay? We got this thing running. And there was only one guy on the internet, one guy who knew exactly what the problem was. It was the breather tube. Some reason, at some point, someone sealed off the breather tube. So the thing was not breathing. It's a case breathing motor. It was not breathing. Pumping oil up in the top end, oil was coming everywhere. That's why it was smoking. Now, if that guy can remember and message us again, he's gonna get a Kingpin t-shirt. We're gonna send him one. Kingpin Garage t-shirt is definitely going to you, because there was only one guy of all the internet that figured that out. So, cleaned up the motor, got it running, figured out the problems. We tried the original carburetor, it didn't work for us. I know some guys love those carbs, and hell, good for you guys, I love it. I am not good with that brand carb. I'm just not. So tried and true, go with the S&S style. That's what we did. We didn't stick with that other carb. Now, if you remember, this thing had a rat's nest of wires. It was unbelievably bad. It was disgusting. It was the worst wiring I've ever seen on any bike. So start fresh, tear off all the wiring. We wired it up with the braided wires, front to back. And what we did was we threw in a little battery right there, okay? We threw in the battery because we put it in electronic ignition. Electronic ignition, no way, man. You gotta go with old school points. You gotta do it that way. Well, we just wanted it to be reliable. We wanted it to be able to start, because then again, in the end, this thing is gonna be sold to someone. We don't wanna sell something that's basically a pain in the ass to start every time. Now, I don't know how to dial in the points as well as a lot of guys out there. All kinds of guys message me, and good for you. I didn't know how to do it. Went with a new coil, went with the new ignition system. More modern, that's what we did. It's hidden behind the cover, you don't see it. But again, it's more reliable, starts up great. We also went in here, one of the first videos we did was this secret stash box. Now, a lot of ideas were in there. We thought there'd be cash in there, we thought there'd be guns in there. One person on the internet said it's usually filled with pot, which is, that's cool. Maybe it was, I don't know. Maybe Ed kept all of his bud in there. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe Ed was into it. We don't know. But we drilled out the lock, and turns out there was nothing inside there. So we hid our battery in there, which I think was a pretty good idea. We put a tiny lithium battery, which has got a lot of cranking amps in there that's going to keep the lights running. Over here on this side, I cleaned up all this. We got a new regulator rectifier in there. We found an old NOS one, an original one in the box, okay? The one on there looked like from Hi-Fi Stereo, like one of those things from 1972, okay? That's when the bike was built, but it looked terrible. So we've got an original NOS one that was a lot cleaner, neater, worked out great. We took the primary, we did a cut down skeleton primary, which is kind of period correct for the 70s. We got all kinds of stuff about that. Why don't you enclose it? Why are you going with that? Why are you going with a belt? That's ridiculous. I wouldn't do that. Well, we might not do that either, but Ed did it. And again, you got to remember this, guys, from the start. We wanted to get this bike running and riding the way Ed had it, not the way we had it, not the way everyone else had it. So please understand, a lot of these decisions weren't necessarily what we would have done, okay? And weren't necessarily what Bob out in Ohio would have done, or Tom in Wisconsin, who would get on us all the time about it, but it was what Ed wanted. So Ed wanted it like this, so we wanted it like this, because we wanted to keep it original for Ed, for his memory, for his family. That's what we wanted to do. So skeleton primary, something they did in the 70s, cut down primary, really cool. We got the open belt running, we got the clutch working, new oil. Let's see, what else did we do? We got the seat all bolted down correctly. We got the bike all polished up. We had the amazing, incredible hobby acrylic paint Medusa right here on the tank. And it's like 4 people said, you gotta keep the Medusa. The Medusa is so great. Well, what happened was once we cleaned the tank, okay, you can't paint acrylic paint on tanks. It comes right off, okay? We literally rubbed it and it was peeling off. So that really wasn't original. I don't know who did it. Probably Ed one day when he was bored maybe did it, but it just wasn't really how it originally started. So that's why we ended up just going with the original lacquer paint right here. We got all the great things that we retain, all of this stuff, the crazy, crazy little murals. He's got the Keep on Trucking guy, the Shovelhead with the X-rated little shovel dick there. We got the night light. We got all that with this great little pictures of the fly on there in the night. And the tires are still the original tires. They are cracked and dry rotted. They are not really safe to ride, but I'm gonna ride it anyway. I don't care because that's the tires Ed had on it. All right, guys, so that's it. This is Red Ed's 1973 Survivor chopper. That was what we did front to back. Next part we're gonna do is we're gonna answer some frequently asked questions that we had on the internet. It's amazing, all you guys, all you subscribers, we love you guys and we love all your comments and questions, but it's amazing because all you guys seem to ask the same questions. So we're gonna go over all, hold on, wait a minute. In the first video, I said we were gonna get Red Ed's bike running and riding. We were gonna take it to Meekum. That's May 1st, that's next month. I said we were gonna bring some big Harley signs, and then wait, there was one more thing. Hold on, there was one more thing I said. This thing right here, 1994 Softail. We're gonna build this thing. Speedball air and knuckle, fully rebuild it, low mile, it's a low mile bike. This is typically how we get bikes. This is typically what our bikes look like when we get them. We'll clean the frame, we'll rebuild the motor, change the front end, tank, fenders, wheels, everything. I'm thinking white walls, I'm thinking it's gonna look like an old knucklehead. We'll take that one to Meekum. We'll take the chopper to Meekum. We'll take this giant 1970s original AMF frame. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. We were gonna build one more bike, weren't we? We were gonna build a 1994 Springer Softail, and we were gonna make it look just like a knucklehead. That's right. There was that one bike. What the?
This bike is a 1994 Softail Springer. This bike features an 80 cubic inch Evo motor, S&S carburetor, Thunder header exhaust, EV27 Andrews cam, 5-speed transmission, and that glorious Springer front end. Huge thanks to Mo at Auto Europa for doing the paint on this. It looks gorgeous. Now that we've showed you our master plan, let's go through some frequently asked questions about the Red Ed chopper.
All right, guys, I went through all of your comments and I went through every question and wrote them down, and I'm going to go over each of them, and we're just gonna go over it and give you guys straight answers.
And I've never heard these, by the way.
He's never heard these. Go. Why'd you remove Medusa?
Okay, so as much as we love Medusa, like I said, I think in an earlier video, it's made of acrylic paint. It wasn't coated over it, and as soon as we started to rub it, it just started to flake off. The more you rubbed it, the worse it got. So Medusa had to go. I'm really sorry. I loved Medusa too. We all loved Medusa, but she had to go. There's nothing we could do about it.
Why didn't we do a compression test?
Why didn't we do a compression test? Okay, that's a good question. So we didn't do a compression test because we just wanted it, well, like I said, when we pulled out the plugs, we looked inside there, everything looked fresh and clean.
In the first or second video, I forgot which one it was, I actually looked down the bores and I could read Sharpie on the top of the pistons, and they were brand new pistons, and I could also see cross-hatching in the bores. So
yes, it looked like it had been recently rebuilt, and we wanted to just try. We wanted to just go for it. Before we started tearing into things and doing stuff, we just kind of had a belief that this thing was going to run, and obviously it did. So yeah, it was just pure luck, I guess.
Why didn't we replace the rings? Basically,
yeah,
the
same idea. And here's the thing: it's like I would rather get this thing to run first, and if it runs horrible, it smokes and doesn't work right, then I'll tear it up. But I would rather get this thing running before I open up the motor and not know what's going on. I mean, that's our theory. We always try to get things running first and diagnose any problems there are before we just start tearing open the motor. Why would you tear open the motor? You haven't even heard it run. We probably would have popped open this motor and opened it up and realized it was completely fresh, which we've done before with motors. But on this one, I said, hey, let's just get it to run and see what happens.
Do we comb the obituaries for these things?
No, that's a good question. I have no idea why we seem to end up with bikes all the time where people die. This is probably our fifth or sixth bike. So just like in that movie where the kid says, I see dead people, we unfortunately, we buy dead people's bikes. And it's not something we try to do, but we end up meeting people and they say, oh, I want you to have my dad's Harley, or I want you to have my uncle's Harley, and I have no idea, but we always end up with them. So that's why we end up doing this all the time.
Another one. What was up with the clutch washer?
Okay, so yeah, that's totally on me.
Come on, man.
Like I said, I made a mistake. So what I do is when I put the 3-finger clutch together, I mean, it's just an old trick. You just compress it all together. You put that little washer in there and you hold it together so you can bolt it on. But I just forgot it. I mean, one time. I've done it 100 times on different bikes, but the one time on film is the one time I forgot the washer. So yes, I screwed it up. I forgot the washer. I realized really quickly that I forgot the washer. I took it right out. It wasn't a big deal, and now it runs and rides and it's perfect. But yes, I did do it. I made a mistake. Sorry, guys. I made that mistake.
Why did we get rid of the Bendix?
Okay, so why did we get rid of the Bendix?
Short answer, it sucks. It's horrible.
Johnny hates Bendix. I'm not good with Bendix carbs. I'm really not. I can't dial them in the way I can dial in an SNS style carb. So my thought was, I'm good with CVs, I'm good with Micunis, and I'm good with SNS. So I'm going to go with what I know. An old school SNS on a Shovelhead is wonderful. They start up great. They work great. I'm sorry. I ditched the Bendix. I did. And I'm happy for doing it. I'm sorry, all you Bendix lovers out there. We had one guy offered, he said, I'll come by your house and get it to run and work, but we won't get SNS.
Another question about the SNS. Why did you go with a fake SNS?
That is really a horrible question. We went with a fake SNS because we got this SNS off of a riding Shovelhead. We knew it would bolt up. We knew the manifold was correct. We knew everything was there. We threw it on there thinking, well, let's give it a shot, get it to run, and it ran great. So
there's some parts on the fake SNS that are actually kind of better than a real one.
Yeah, well,
like the billet plugs.
Okay,
those are nicer.
That's true, but we're all about built in America. We're all about made in USA. We're all about that. So we just happened to throw it on there, and it happened to work. So this was, again, lucky shot. And if it didn't work, I would have told you. I would have thrown it in the trash. You would have seen a video of us crushing it or something. But it worked great. So I hate to say it, but that one we dodged a bullet.
Why are we not running a front brake?
Why are we not running a front brake? Okay, one of the videos I opened up the front drum. It's one of those mini drums on there. I opened it up and nothing's inside it. It's completely empty. And sourcing out those mini pads, sourcing out the springs, the levers, and all the little arms, honestly, was too much work. We just got it running. I've run bikes. This is the 5th or 6th bike I've had with no front brake. So I'm comfortable with it. I can run a rear brake. It's kind of old school. It might not be the safest thing in the world, but you know what? It worked fine. Ed kind of built it that way with no front brake. Ed was maybe a daredevil. I didn't know him. His daughter said he was a great guy. So you know what? I'm going to run it like Ed. That's it. Run it like Ed. That was our thought always. Run it like Ed. So.
And the surprising thing is, when we got it, the rear brake was already bled and it worked.
Yeah, rear brake works great.
We just tapped in and it worked.
So we're good.
No issues there. Here's a good one.
Yeah.
Why the gloves?
Why the gloves? Okay, I wear rubber gloves all the time because I got to keep my hands clean because I am a chiropractor. That is my real business. Westside Chiropractic is the name of my company. And when my fingers get greasy and dirty, if you've ever been to a chiropractor, they touch you with their hands all the time. I can't get my hands clean enough to touch people. So my real business has to kind of dictated the fact that I wear rubber gloves when I work on bikes. I know it seems weird. Everyone says, that's so weird, why you wear rubber gloves, you're this, you're that, whatever. But you know what? I would much rather wear rubber gloves and work on people. I think it's just gross when I can't get the black shit out of underneath my nails. And you all know what you know what I'm talking about. It gets all in the grooves of my hands. So I'm sorry, I wear rubber gloves. We got one guy says, why the hell would you keep that narrow glide front end? What you should do is get a wide glide front end there and cut it down. And he described this whole process of how he cut down this wide glide front end, and it was so cool and all that. And again, I go back to that original thing. Ed wanted this front end, we wanted this front end. Trust me, the 33.2 millimeter old Sportster front end or Shovelhead, it's not our favorite, okay? And by the way, that front end was on Sportsters and it was on 1 year of the Shovelhead. I know people will dispute it all the time, but it actually was. But listen, we didn't want this narrow front end, but we love it now. Now that we're running it, we think it's awesome because it's totally cool and it's what Ed wanted. So as much as I love that one guy describing this long drawn out thing of how he would cut down a wide glide, that's great. But again, we didn't build this bike, Ed did. So.
Most important question.
Go.
Hold on, I gotta straighten myself up.
When is it for sale? On May 1st at Mecum Auction in Las Vegas at the Antique Motorcycle Auction on May 1st on Saturday? Is that the question?
No.
Is it what's the reserve?
No.
Is it can I buy it on the internet because you can't go on a bid?
No, it's why don't you have a goddamn manual?
Okay. Woo! We have tons of manuals. Why don't we have a goddamn manual? That is every time. Why don't we have a goddamn manual? We have manuals.
We have manuals.
We have manuals. We refer to the manuals.
At one
all
point,
the
we had
time.
over 120 manuals.
We look at the manual and then we work on the bike, okay? We don't want to sit there and video ourselves going through a manual and reading it line by line to you guys, because that is the most boring thing ever and no one would like that. So yes, we have manuals. Oh, by the way, I appreciate someone calling us a bunch of kids, me especially, calling me a kid. You kid don't know how to work on your bike. I'm 54 years old, man. I am not a kid. I appreciate it though. Someone called me a young hipster.
We're both hipsters.
Wow, that was a good one too. I am definitely not a hipster, man. I am an Italian guy from New Jersey. That is the furthest thing from a hipster. I am not hip at all. And I'm not young too, by the way. I'm old. Dude, I'm
Take it as a compliment.
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro. But anyway, so yes, the number one question is, do we have manuals? Yes, we have manuals. And we refer to them all the time.
And if you look in the video, you can see it sitting on our bench, open to the page.
Exactly. It's in there. So.
I could put I'm gonna put clips in the video right now of the manual.
There it is.
Here's the manual. Right there on our bench.
Next time, maybe what we'll do is we'll hold the part, we'll show it to you next to the manual and read it line by line, which would be extremely boring. But yes, we have manuals.
That's basically all the frequently asked questions about Redhead's chopper. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you for subscribing. We love it. Thank you for your comments, your questions. We absolutely love it. And thanks for just watching us have fun getting this stuff running. Some of the best times of my life are sitting here working with my son on bikes. It's the greatest thing you could ever do. We just love it. We were just having fun. That was the whole reason for these videos. And then you're going to see us go to Vegas, right? That's going to be the best part.
The next video series will be us
loading
taking
these bikes up.
That bike, this bike, three signs,
tank and fender sets, taking them to Vegas, rolling to Vegas. It's going to be a long drive. It's probably a 10-hour drive with our trailer. We're going to take it out to the Mecum auction, which is the bikes are going to go off on May 1st. On Friday, the tank and fenders are going off, and the signs are going off. 3 giant antique Harley signs that are going off on May 1st. Go on the Mecum auction. It's www.mecum.com. Sign up as a bidder. Bid on our stuff. We love it. If you win, we'll send you the Kingpin t-shirts. And if we can find that one guy that had the right thing about the breather, message us. We want to send you a t-shirt too, because you're the only one that figured it out. Like we did, by the way, in the video. But anyway, anything else?
And tune in live on TV. It's NBCSN. Saturday, May 1st. It'll be on live television. You'll see both of these bikes rolling across.
And watch all of it. Mecum's a great company. They've been great to us. They've been nothing but the best. So just tune into that entire auction. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's a wrap to the Redhead build. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.
Kingpin Garage.